guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Chloe, again. This video, as you can see below, is going to be all about health and social care again. So my first video I filmed on this was health and social care myths and facts, which I'll link that video below so you can go over and have a look at that one. If you like what you see and you want to see more content, you can like and subscribe below, and yeah, check out my past videos. So as you can see from the title, this video is going to be all about past jobs in the health and social care industry. So loads of people actually suggested I did this my first video, but I did something slightly different, as you know. So this video is going to be going through each job, talking about the job role, the shifts, the day-to-day role you would intake there, and just a bit more about each setting that I've actually worked in, and just let you know, guys, what it all entails. So yeah, let's get started. So the first setting I'm going to talk about is actually the first setting I ever worked in a paid role. So it was supported housing with a company called Innovate Trust, which have supported houses across Cardiff, Vale and the Rhondda. So if you don't know what supported housing is, it's where the clients live in the house and they have a staff team assigned to that house of support workers who support them 24 hours in the house. So again, with that, your shifts are going to be morning, afternoon, evening, sometimes sleep-ins throughout the night. It's not something you have to do, but it's something you could choose to do. It's like an extra. So the application process for this particular company, actually, Innovate Trust, is probably to this day the most lengthy application process I've probably ever had to go through. So you had to fill out an application which was about 20 to 30 pages long. So after handing that in, then I got the interview. I had to go down to their offices in Cowbridge Road in Canton. Before the interview then, I had to have a pre-assessment, which was a maths and English test, which I wasn't actually aware was going to happen, so that really threw me straight away, and I was thinking, oh god, definitely just haven't got this job, I've got no experience, I've messed up on this. But anyway, before the interview then, they gave me the set of questions that the panel were going to ask me. So you could jot down things that you wanted to maybe definitely remember while you were in that room, sort of thing. So I got given the set of questions. I think there was 12 to 15 questions, pretty standard questions, and then scenarios, sort of questions. I then went into the panel with two ladies. I think one was quite a high up manager and another lady was a home manager in the company. So from that, I got the job. I got placed in a home in Thornhill with two ladies, which were lovely. So the job itself, you have lots of duties. I mean, you obviously, being in the house, had to do domestic duties. So you help with their shopping, you help with their cleaning, their washing, the cleaning of the house. All of that is in your job role. You've got to treat it as your home, and they expect their standards to be the same as what your standards would be. Alongside that, then the supported people would probably have a timetable of activities in the week. So you may take somebody cycling, you may take somebody to the cinema, you may take somebody for lunch, you may take them for tea, there's different people are going to have different activities on. You're going to have then your medical visits, your GP, your dentist appointments and things like that. As Innovate Trust have outreach projects, some of the sessions you go to will be run by Innovate staff, which were really good, and people outside of the company can attend those as well. That's mainly day-to-day what you would do. Other things you will do as well is manage their finances. So you will do things like budget for them, go to the bank, take out their weekly money for shopping and things like that. So yeah, I think that's all really with that sort of setting. It's a really nice setting actually to start out in, because it shows you a bit of everything. The domestic side of being, maybe if you were going to go on to be a domiciliary nurse, or if you're going to stay in supported housing, but you also do the community side of it because you take people out for their sessions and things. So yeah, it's a really good place, I'd say, if you're looking to start out as a support worker. A nice way to sort of start in the industry and get your experience. So the next setting I'm going to talk about is specialist colleges. So my second job after working in supported housing, I went on to work in a specialist college. It was through Ludlow Street Healthcare, again, quite well known across Wales and England. They've got different types of settings across, the country. So this interview, I can't remember the first actual stages of the interview. I remember the actual interview though. It was quite lengthy in questions. It was more asking about how you would react in a scenario and things like that. From there, I got the job. I had to go on a 2-week training course, which was based in Cardiff City Centre. It was really good training, actually. I remembered a lot of my knowledge from there because it was quite in-depth due to the nature of the behaviours that we were going to be dealing with. It was quite full-on, of knowledge and practical things of how to respond and deal with situations, because they were going to be, in some stressful situations due to the nature of the behaviours and things that the guys were going to display. So I got the job and I got placed in a house on site. They have 6 or 7 different houses which the students live in. So they live there and they attend the education on site. So the house I was in, there was about 6 or 7 people downstairs and the same upstairs, and you worked across the 2 floors. Your job's day to day, basic cleaning, I'd say. I think we made the breakfast, but you didn't make lunch and dinner. They had on-site cooks which brought the food round for the guys. They choose their meals in the morning to be cooked for them. So you would help with obviously personal care, so washing, cleaning, dressing and things if people needed that level of assistance. You also, obviously, I didn't actually do this that much, but people attended the education on site. This was probably why I didn't actually stay in this job for that long. I think I was there 3 to 4 months maybe. I got told I was going to be taking people over to the education, helping them with getting qualifications, things like that, which I've always been really interested in with people with disabilities and things. The reality was the house I was actually placed in, the behaviours were so intense and consistent and, frequent that they didn't actually attend education much. They were pretty much secluded to the house and the community spaces within the house because they didn't have the capacity to actually learn. That being said, some of the houses, and I could see the work that was going on with some of the other people who could concentrate more and were more willing to learn, was amazing. So yeah, day to day you would maybe do bits of cleaning around the house. There was only a few community visits. They didn't actually have many vehicles as a company, so you didn't really get off site much. Another reason why I wasn't really fussed on working there, because I wanted to do community stuff with people, which they couldn't do. So yeah, that was the second setting I worked in. And again, with shifts there, it was a bit of a mixture. I did day shifts, so there was day staff and night staff. You could do either really. I never done any nights working there because they were waking nights, so you didn't sleep, you were awake on shift. But the shifts were mostly, I think, 12-hour shifts. So I started at 7:30. You would have a briefing for half hour, and then it'd be 8 till 8. So it was quite long shifts, and being stuck in that one place, I did find it hard myself to do those type of shifts in the intensity of the behaviours. And I think being still young, it was quite a shock for me, but it was such a good learning curve because I have worked with really challenging behaviour in that setting, and it really gave me that experience when I was moving forward to go for positions. I could say that I had dealt with behaviours to that extent. But yeah, that's all about specialist colleges. So the next setting I'm going to talk about is day centres. So some people may know I work for a day centre already and still do now. I work there non-term time at the moment because I'm in the school in term time. So I work for Cardiff Council at the moment who the day centres through. They have different day centres for different disabilities. So they've got like a physical disability, learning disability day centre. They have dementia day centres and things. So you can work with different people in the different day centres. So I actually started off as an agency staff. So I signed up with an agency and they got me the interview with them. You have an interview with the agency staff. I didn't really have an interview with the actual day centre at the time because the agency do most of the work for the company. In the October then I went for a 30-hour position to work for the council. So the application process for that was an application online. It's pretty standard. You fill in your experience, your past jobs, your qualifications, and then you get like a box where you basically like sell yourself. You say why you think you'd be good for the position and you sort of go through the job spec and have to make sure you say, against every point they want you to do in the role, make sure you can say how you would do it and give an example. So the interview process then, there's a written part in the day centre. So you get asked 2 questions, which I think were about equality, the service, values and things. The interview then was a panel of 3, so I think it was the day service manager, a senior manager, and at the time the team manager of the team I would be working on. So you get asked, I think it's about 9 questions maybe in the actual interview. Mostly scenario questions, what would you do in this situation, things like that. It was quite nerve-wracking for me because obviously I'd been working there since June as an agency staff and they knew that I was a good support worker. It was just me now actually speaking and saying the right answers basically to get the job. So I actually got the job. I then went on to apply for full-time positions, which I did. I work, a full-time week with the council. So working in a day centre is a bit different to all the other settings. Obviously, it's a day service, so your start time can be anything from 8 to 9:30, varying depending what hours and what contract you've got. We don't work past 4:30, so 4:30 is the latest you would actually work. The day centres are only open Monday to Friday, so you don't do any weekend shifts or anything like that. So with that, even though, for instance, I said you could start from 8 in the morning, you wouldn't necessarily be supporting someone from 8 in the morning. You may come in at 8, you may do admin for a little bit. We have to do daily recordings, which is part of your day. So when you've supported someone, you do a little write-up of what you did with them. You could use your own car or you could use the supported vehicles, which the council has, and we're lucky enough to have quite a lot of vehicles to use. So you may support someone from, a 9 o'clock pickup until 3 or 3:30 or 4:15. So each person has their own service user file, then they have their own timetable. So we do things like swimming, cycling, walking, music sessions, physio sessions. Everyone has a different timetable, so whoever you work with you're going to be doing something different. You generally have a fixed timetable, which can change obviously if staff are off sick or supported people are off sick. You may cover each other's shifts and things. So yeah, day to day, personal care is obviously involved. Again, depends on the level of support they need, with toileting, dressing, feeding. Medication is part of some people's day. We do rescue meds for epilepsy, but general medication we don't really do in the day centre. People have usually had their meds before they came in, or it's later at night that they would have their meds. So the next industry I'm going to talk about is working with agencies. So as I said, I signed up with an agency before I started in the council. But also last year, for a couple of months, I signed up with Dewis Cymru, which are a direct payment agency through families. So families request hours in respite for their child or guardian, who they're guardian for, and the company match people to those supported people, and you do those extra hours. Working for an agency, obviously you've got that more flexibility. You can choose when you want to work, whether you want to do a couple of hours in the morning, afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever you want to do. It differs how you request your work. So I actually knew a young lady who I wanted to support who was already signed up with this agency, so I could give that person's name and say, look, I want to work with this person. I've met with a family, they're happy for me to work with her, which I did. But if you're just looking for extra hours and work, you can sign up with the agency and they'll actually match you to a supported person and you can support them. They do children and adults, so you could support either. The hours are flexible, so you can do basically any hours in a day as respite, weekends. I started working with a young lady on a Saturday, or every other Saturday, just picking up some extra money, supporting this particular person. With that, with timetable wise, it depends who you work with. The young lady who I was working with was, able and capable to pick what she wanted to do every weekend. So she would say, right, let's go bowling, let's go for food, let's go cinema, let's go Bristol Zoo. We did some really lovely things on the weekend. Obviously, depending who you work with, you might have to be more in charge of what you're doing, and more forward thinking if you're working with someone who's not capable of making a choice. So yeah, agencies are good because if you work in a job where you want to earn a bit of extra cash or you want to gain experience, agencies are a good way as well to work with people. And things like in my job, because it's only Monday to Friday in the day centre and my boyfriend works weekends, I felt like, well, why not work and do some extra and help some people out, which I did for a good 5-6 months. I actually gave it up literally the week before lockdown. Actually, I was just finding it a little hard working full time. I had just taken on this new position in work with a pilot scheme and working on a Saturday. It just got a bit too much, really. So I stopped working with that lady then. But agencies are a really good way to get work, and agencies can be in any setting. You can get an agency to work in a day centre, to work in a school, just to do community work. It is very broad range. So it's a really good, really good start in the health and social care industry. And if maybe you're just looking to earn some extra cash on top of your hours that you're doing, like me, it was a really good way, obviously, to do that. So the last setting I'm going to talk about is specialist schools. At the moment, term time, I work in a specialist school in Cardiff, in Ely. So at the moment, my work's in the day centre. Well, last year we started doing a pilot project with this particular school. So myself and 2 other guys went across the school. We got the positions to go for this pilot project. What we are doing is like a transition project. So we get people who have been referred to us by their social worker, mainly because they've got complex health or behavioural needs, which the day centre I work at is, specialises in. We then go into the classrooms where those individuals are. We support them for a whole year. So September to September, we work directly in those classrooms. All 3 of us work across the different classrooms with those people. We support them in the classroom to their sessions around the school. While doing this, then we build up a report. So we build up a supported person's plan. So in the plan, you'll have different things. You'll have information about them, their personal details, their health, their likes and dislikes, things that are important to them, their behaviours, everything about that person. If you were going to support them, what you would need to know. So we spend a year building this file and this document. We meet with nurses, multidisciplinary teams to obviously get every information, in that file, which needs to go with them to their placement after they leave school. It's a huge benefit for most people, as a lot of supported people after leaving school either have months with no support because they're looking for the right placement, or they go to a placement and that placement doesn't know much about the supported person. So we in the day centre have had people come through and maybe their files, not as detailed as probably we're doing at the moment, and we sort of have to find out that information from supporting them, whereas at the moment we gather the information and pass it on to the day centre so people can go, right, when they're building a schedule or timetable for a person, we have already picked activities out based on what we've seen of their likes and dislikes, which is obviously really helpful for placements and things. So every year then, we sometimes, like this year, people have come through the project and they're actually going to come to our day centre, so we'll support them for a bit and then pass them on to a staff team. So working in specialist colleges, the job we're doing at the moment is pretty new. It is a project that the government are trialling to see if it's worth carrying on, which fingers crossed it does, because everyone thinks it's a beneficial project at the moment. Other jobs you could do within a specialist school, obviously you could be a teacher, you could be a TA in the class, you could be a HLTA, which is like the senior or the higher level teaching assistant in the class. Those sort of jobs, you're just going to be there school hours, so 8:45 till 3:30. Obviously term time you get the holidays off, which I suppose is good for people who want to work in the industry and has kids maybe, so needs it to be around their childcare, which should work in well. Day to day then, you're going to be in the classrooms. You've got different levels of work. You've got admin work to do with that. You've got, display boards you would be putting up. You'd be directly working with the children in the classrooms, taking them to sessions within the school. So the school I work in, they've got a swimming pool on site. They've got, therapy rooms on site. They've got cooking rooms. They've got art rooms. It's amazing the resources they actually have on site. So you would be helping with that. And the school I work in, they've got their whole health team on site. So they've got nurses, doctors, physios and things on site, because some of the children are really poorly and they may need urgent care. So in every classroom there's a nurse's buzzer if somebody was to need urgent assistance, things like epilepsy and things where it's maybe more prolific. So yeah, working in the schools is really lovely. I love working with children and things, and it goes from age 4 to 19, so you could be working with a wide range of ages. So guys, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, obviously, if you've got this far. I haven't bored you to death. Yeah, it was just a little insight into different jobs I've done in the health and social care industry. As I've said, the health and social care industry is massive. You can work in hospitals, day centres, schools. You could be therapy based, you could be in secure units, you can even do health and social care jobs within prisons, working with prisoners and things. There is so many avenues you can go down in the industry. It's just so broad, really. That's where I am at the moment. I sort of need to pick what avenue I want to go down, because I want to go for higher positions, but it's sort of knowing which setting and environment I want to go for. So yeah, I've just given you a little insight. Obviously, I've only talked about 3 or 4 of the settings that I've worked in. If I've missed out any information and people want to know stuff, just inbox me. I'll leave my Instagram link below. I just filmed this as a last minute thing. I thought, I'll film it now while I've got some spare time. So I might have missed out some information about settings, and if you guys want to know specific things, just ask me. If I can obviously answer any questions, I'll try and give you answers. So yeah, I hope you all liked it. If you like and subscribe below to see future videos, and yeah, see you guys soon.